Hi, I'm Eliza. When I turned 18, I had to deal with the unthinkable. A few months after a car accident, I found myself crawling across a hospital floor in pain. I felt like I wasn't going to make it. I couldn't move my legs and I kept crying for help, but nothing came out. It was then that I realized someone had poisoned me. This wasn't an accident. They wanted me to die here. Before we get to that horrible moment in my life, I have to tell you how I ended up in that hospital in the first place. One night, my mother was driving me home. We had been fighting for a while, and I said some horrible things to her. You see, my mom always acted like she didn't want me at all. She had for most of my life, but a few months before this, my father passed away. It was really sudden, and I never even got to go to the funeral. Since then, my mom had been weird. We were struggling with money, and her whole demeanor changed. She was just mean. She constantly made me feel like I was going crazy. After the fight died down, I started taking some videos to send to my friends. That's when it happened. Everything went white. I heard a loud crash, and in an instant, I was lying on the road. I was in so much pain. Had someone just hit us? What happened? Everything was hazy after that. I heard sirens and doctors. Everyone seemed so panicked. Was I dying? I felt like I was in a bad dream or something. I kept blacking out from the pain. Something had to be broken. A lot of things felt broken. I was in and out for a while, but then I remember waking up in a hospital bed. I could barely open my eyes. It's almost like they were swollen or something. I could hear my mom talking in hushed voices to someone. She was talking about caskets and flowers. I wanted to call out to her to tell her that I was okay, but I couldn't talk or move. What was wrong with me? That's when I heard my mom say the word funeral. I could tell she was crying, and that's when it hit me. She meant my funeral. Was I going to die? Couldn't they tell I was alive, that I was awake? Before I could do anything, I heard a lot of beeping. I tried to move, to do anything, but the room went black again. I'm not sure how much later it was, but I heard my mom's voice again. She was talking to a man asking how much longer it would be. Did she mean until I died? Until I woke up? I had to show her that I was okay. She had to be so worried about me. I opened my eyes. Really opened my eyes. I felt like I had never seen light before. I gasped at how bright the light coming in from the window was, and in that moment, I saw my mom. I tried to smile at her. I was okay. She rushed over to me, but her expression wasn't happiness or joy. It was like surprise and horror. Did I really look that horrible? I started to panic. Was my face deformed or something? Was I missing limbs? I'd never seen her look that horrified. A loud beep rang out once my mom was beside me. I suddenly couldn't breathe. I felt my mom's hands on my chest as she yelled for help. After that, I think I was asleep for a really long time. When I woke up, there was a nurse in my room. She freaked out when she saw me alive. She told me I had been in a coma for 6 months. I couldn't believe it. 6 months? What had I missed? What did I look like? I tried to sit up, but she just told me to lay back and relax. That's when my doctor came in. I felt kind of nervous when I saw him. He had this coldness with him, like he was going to freeze a room just walking into it. He handed me a container of liquid and told me to drink it, that I would feel better once I did. I told him I didn't want to, and he shoved it in my hands, yelling at me to drink it. You'd think someone would be a little nicer to a girl who just got out of a coma. I managed to pretend to drink the liquid. The doctor left, saying he would call my mom. When I heard she was on her way, I could barely handle how excited I was. My mom walked in about 10 minutes later, but I hardly recognized her. She was wearing a fur coat. Her hair was done beautifully, and she carried a luxury purse. We had been so poor before. Had she won the lottery while I was in a coma? Seriously, how much had I missed? The doctor told me I was going to have to work to get my strength back up. But I was ready. I had a second chance at life, and I wasn't going to waste it. Over the next couple of days, things were really awkward. You see, I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair trying to relearn absolutely everything. My face was all beat up and my nose was crooked. I looked like a monster. Then there was that doctor. I felt like he was always watching me. He was so hostile. I started to feel like he was out to get me. I had this fear that something bad was going to happen. One day during therapy, my worst fears came true. In the middle of trying to walk, one of my crutches completely came apart. I fell on the ground hard and cracked my head open. There was blood everywhere. When I looked up, the doctor was just standing there. When my mom came in after the incident, I told her how weird the doctor was being. To my surprise, my mom told me to avoid him. She even told me she'd talk to the office about getting me a doctor I was more comfortable with. I was kind of shocked. My mom had never done things like that for me before the accident. That night, I couldn't sleep. I felt lonely and every bone in my body really ached. I kept hoping someone would help me or bring me some medicine or something. Of course, the doctor came in. He handed me a cup of tea and told me to just relax. I was wary at first, but the tea looked so warm and comforting, so I drank it. All of a sudden, I felt a horrible pain in my stomach. I dropped the cup of tea and it shattered into a million pieces. No one came running in. The doctor didn't even move a muscle. I yelled to him that it felt like my insides were trying to crawl outside my body, like my stomach was trying to kill me. Thank God he's here, I thought. But he shrugged. He told me to stop overreacting and to just go to sleep. He said I'd feel better if I slept for a while. What? How did this crazy person expect me to be able to sleep in this much pain? He got up and left the room. I could hardly see straight. I knew I wasn't overreacting. Something was wrong. Very wrong. I started crawling across the ground, dragging my legs behind me. I felt helpless. The pain was so intense. I managed to get to the door of my room, and that's when I saw them. My mom and the doctor kissing. What on earth was going on? I hovered in the doorway, trying to keep from screaming, trying to listen. The doctor was talking about how much insurance money they were about to make. My mom thanked the doctor for doing what he did. But what had he done? I clutched my stomach in pain. Had I been poisoned? I strained to hear what they were saying as they walked away. The doctor told her they had to find my phone no matter what, that there was too much evidence on it. The two got in the elevator and I was alone. I crawled across the floor, desperate to find someone. Was I going to die here? Alone? Had I seriously just been poisoned by a doctor? I felt the room around me start to get dark. With the strength I had left, I made it into the bathroom in my hospital room and made myself sick. I had to get the poison out of me, but I was just in so much pain. I laid on the floor, not knowing if I was going to make it. In those couple of hours, all I could think about was my dad. If he was still around, would any of this have happened? Within a few hours, I started to feel more normal. So, I decided I had to find my phone at the crash site. If there was evidence on it, I had to find it. I got my crutches and called myself a cab. I had to sneak out of the back of the hospital. Even then, I was almost positive the doctor had seen me. I managed to get myself in a cab and I directed him to the site of the car accident. The guardrail was still bent. I told him to just let me go here, but he waited to help me look. What could possibly be on my phone? I know I had been recording when the accident happened. Maybe there was evidence that the crash was my mom's fault? That she was drunk or something? After what seemed like hours, I found my phone in a bush. I yanked it off the ground, covered it in grime and dust. As soon as we got back to the car, the cab driver helped me plug in my phone. I turned it on and opened my videos. Nothing could prepare me for the last video I took. I looked normal in it, happy. I was recording myself singing to the radio to send to a friend. Beside me, my mom looked so mad. Then, it happened. My mom reached across and unbuckled my seatbelt. I flinched in shock, but it was too late. My mom swerved the car and it flipped over the guardrail. Then the screen went black. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My own mom had crashed our car. But for what? It all dawned on me. The nurses being shocked I wasn't getting better, the new purses my mom had, her kissing the doctor poisoning me, the time I flatlined after I woke up. They had all been her and the doctor's doing. I didn't know what to do. My own mom had tried to kill me. She and the doctor made sure I was in a coma just so they could take my insurance money. In my anger and sadness, I called the police. The trial was fast, but my heart broke over and over again. The most shocking part? My dad showed up. He walked to the trial, and when he announced his name, I knew who he was. He started talking on the stand. My head was spinning. What on earth was going on? My dad explained that he had been looking for me for a very long time since his wife left me for another man. After she had kidnapped me and used me as a way to make money with that doctor, she made sure my dad will never find us. And then, my dad confessed that she wasn't even my biological mother. She was my stepmom pretending to be my mom. We didn't even share the same genes. I was so shocked. But then I understood why she cared so little about me. She never even saw me as her real daughter. But everything made sense now. Despite the shock that I was in and all that I've been through, I was happy to know that my dad was around now to take care of me. As for the woman I used to call my mom, well, I hope she rots in jail. How did you like my story of betrayal and mystery? Has anyone ever lied to you like this or tried to hurt you? Let us know in the comments down below.